Yo, what's poppin', everybody? It's your boy, Mike Gomes. Welcome back. Listen, before we get started, I know I already said this before on another video, but hit that link in the description below so you get access to that free private Facebook group. Now, I'm actually hosting a Zoom out of there tomorrow, which when this drops, it will be Wednesday the 18th at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. I'll be structuring a sub-2 deal for one of the members that had a question in there. He had a sub-2 deal that he needs structured. So I'm going to go over that on a Zoom. Now, in that Facebook group, I'm like answering people's questions with a video, but this particular question, it was a little bit lengthy. So I'm like, hey, why don't we hop on a Zoom for the whole Facebook group and structure this thing? So that will be in the free Facebook group Wednesday, the 18th at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. I'll see you guys there. But today, what we're going to go over is a call that I had with a new investor getting into the game. I was just giving advice on, some action steps to take, and also letting him understand where, like, the path that I took, right? Because the path that I take, I want to help you guys with. I took a longer path than you guys have to take because you guys can learn from my path. So you hear a lot about how I started and everything like that in this call. But let's just get right into the call. I'll see you guys in the free private Facebook group, by the way. See you there.
So here's what happened when I first started my business. Well, actually, not even when I first started my business. When I first started like learning real estate, I was learning from a guy who was fix and flipping, right? And he started his business by doing direct mail. So he did direct mail, and what he would do is he would get a deal under contract, he would fix and flip that deal, and then all of a sudden he would get to the end of that project and be like, shit, I need another project. And then he would start the direct mail again. And it was just like a repeating cycle, and there was no consistency in his marketing. And then he ended up going with somebody else, and he pretty much gets all of his deals now from this is when I started learning from him. He's got his deals from just like other wholesalers and realtors, and just from people knowing that he's the fix and flipper, right? So he doesn't do any lead generation now as far as like initial outreach to sellers or bandit signs or any type of direct to seller. He doesn't do. He just has all the deals come to him. And the reason why I explain this is because in the beginning, when I was learning from him, I was learning a lot of fix and flip stuff, right? Which was really good. So I understand my fix and flip numbers. I understand construction and all that type of stuff. So it was really good. And then, just like yourself, once I was ready to get my feet wet and start doing deals, I'm like, okay, my first deal is going to be a fix and flip. I have everything in place. I got my lenders in place. I understand what needs to be done in the project and all that. I understand my numbers. I understand all that stuff. Now, how do I go find this deal? So what happened is I started doing direct to seller marketing, like all types of different direct to seller marketing. I was doing PPC. I was trying to get on radio ads. I was sending out mailers, driving for dollars, doing all that stuff, right? Trying to generate direct to seller leads. And then I wasn't really gaining much traction in the beginning. And then probably about 4 or 5 months into my business, I hired a virtual assistant. And that's when I really started generating leads. Okay. So this whole entire time I'm generating leads, and I'm thinking that I'm building a fix and flip business, but really what I was building was a wholesale business. So and I realized this once I started getting into high level mentorships and masterminds and stuff like that. I thought the whole entire time I was just going to be a fix and flipper, right? I was just going to go find a deal, just like you said, and then do whatever I want with it. Maybe wholesale it, fix and flip it, buy and hold it. But my main thing was fix and flip. And I didn't understand that the thing that I was doing, that I was learning on YouTube and stuff like that, I didn't really understand that it was wholesale, right? I didn't understand that there was a difference between a fix and flip business and a wholesale business. They're like two completely different businesses. And then once that clicked in my mind, I'm like, oh, now I get it. Now I get that my job is to just go get contracts and let other people find the buyers for me, and I'll just keep getting contracts and keep getting contracts and keep getting contracts. So now that I understand that that was my job, that's when I just tripled down on it and scaled out of it, which pretty much just means like, hey, understand that you're building a direct to seller wholesale business, which is like a niche in itself. Don't worry about the fix and flips. Don't worry about building the buyers list or anything like that. Just worry about building the team that goes and gets contracts. And that is your business. That's a whole business in itself. And then what happened from there is, I scaled out of it, and then I had free time to go buy deals and stuff like that. And now we're in the process of building our fix and flip business, right? And our fix and flip business consists of all of our money lenders, all of our private lenders, all of our contractors, our realtor, and stuff like that. And as my brand is growing, people are sending me these deals, right? Because there's a difference between a lead and a deal. A lead is more of like, hey, going out directly to a seller and generating somebody that's interested in selling their property. A deal is something that's already under contract, whether it's through a listing agreement or through a legit purchase and sale agreement that somebody's going to sign, right? So like as I'm growing my fix and flip business, I'm learning that it's the deals aren't even coming from my direct to seller business. They're more coming from just the brand. And I realized that was I wish I knew that in the beginning, that they were two completely different things, because then if I wanted to fix and flip, I would have had a full-fledged fix and flip, like doing like 10 deals a quarter or something like that in my fix and flip business by now, if I knew that in the beginning. But what I was doing is I was growing a wholesale business. Now I don't take that back, because I actually like wholesale better than fix and flip now that I'm into it. But yeah, it was just, I say all this to say is understanding that all these different businesses, wholesale business, fix and flip business, buy and hold business, they're all completely separate, different businesses, and they need to be treated like that. And then once you figure that out, you understand like how to go tackle that business model, whichever one that you want to do. If you want to do a buy and hold, if you want to have a buy and hold company and you want to build a portfolio, then figure out the strategy to go do that and build your team around that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, 100%, definitely. But obviously, this is like I'm at stage one, right? I'm at ground level. So, goal of the year is to just increase revenues through wholesale and deal flow. And
Well, that's the main thing, right? Just figuring out what your goal is. Like, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to leave your 9 to 5 and operate a business and have your business replace your 9 to 5 money?
100%.
Then the fastest way to do that is building a wholesale company.
Absolutely, man. Like, the goal is to eventually be like totally free, right? Like where you're like, don't get me wrong, I like work and I like doing things, but like where you could be like, all right, kind of like the 4-hour work week
Yeah.
mentality, right? Like
Mhm.
you're kind of just a guy that figures out operations and everything's done for you. I want to move somewhere where it's warm and we ain't got to deal with no fucking snow no more.
I hear that.
You know what I'm saying? So like that's the end game. Like that's the 5-year goal, to be somewhere where you just like, yo, I got all my passive money taken care of, both me and my girl's salaries, or like, we're good money wise, and then just lend out my money to grow my money. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And obviously, everybody, it's cliche to say, but if you don't have a deal, you don't have anything. So just trying to figure out that whole process, man. I just, you know what I mean? See it like
So here's the reason why I'm saying like hone in on wholesale if that's what you want to do. It's because wholesaling is a skill, right? Like there's different parts of wholesale. By the way, there's different types of businesses for wholesale. There's direct to seller acquisitions wholesale, there's dispositions wholesale. Like there is a whole entire different world when it comes to wholesale. There's so many different ways to wholesale. And it's important that, especially in the beginning, you hone in on one thing and get really skillful in that one thing and build that skill. And that skill is what is going to allow you to leave the 9 to 5. Right. So it's like same thing with fix and flip. If you're gonna fix and flip, like find your niche. Maybe it's single families, maybe it's 3 families, maybe it's 10 plus units or whatever, right? Like figure out your niche, get really good at underwriting them, building your team around that and all that stuff. And that skill of fixing and flipping is going to allow you to leave the 9 to 5. But it's so important. I see the problem with real estate, right? Is that there's so many different routes that you can go, and you can make money literally in like any and every way in real estate. There's so many different ways to make money. And that's the problem in the beginning when you're starting out, because you're like, dang, just like you said, I'm scatterbrained. I don't know where the hell to start. But once you have that clarity on, okay, this is the business model that I want to tackle, and this is the skill that I want to perfect and get good at, that is what you triple down on. And that skill alone is going to be the thing that's going to get you out of the 9 to 5. So like for me, when I was figuring all this stuff out, right, I didn't really have any mentors or anything like that. I was just learning on YouTube. I had that fix and flipper that I was learning from, but other than that, I didn't pay for any programs or anything like that. That really helped. I paid for like stupid things like a radio mentorship and some other things that didn't really help me. But when I was doing that, I was spending a shit ton of money and a shit ton of time trying to learn a shit ton of different things, right? And it wasn't until I got into a mentorship, and this is pretty much the advice that I'm giving you right now is the advice that I got. Here's the advice that I got. Hey, Mike, you're doing good. You have this virtual assistant here that is generating you a decent amount of leads. Good job. You have built a lead generation system so that you have leads funneling in your pipeline. But there's a problem. You are not converting deals. So there's something going on there. And as we pull back the curtains, we figure out Mike is not up to speed with talking to sellers as he should be. He is not converting, right? There's a problem. There's leads in the system, but for some weird reason, Mike is just not converting. And that weird reason was I just needed to get better at sales, AKA I had to like really get good at a skill. And then once I really started honing in on that, I was doing everything, dude. I was reading sales books. I was doing role plays every single morning. I was talking to all my sellers every single day, just doing the thing, getting better at it. I was listening to my own calls. I was like listening to other investors' seller calls, and I was doing any and everything to get better at talking to sellers. And once I mastered talking to sellers, that's when my business really started cranking, and I started getting deals done, and we started converting all those leads that we were bringing in the pipeline. But it was important for me, obviously, like everybody has their blueprint, right? Everybody has their what goes on in their lives for a reason. So it was important for me in the beginning to like learn, okay, here's how you build the lead generation system, aka like you're talking about, like pulling lists and cold calling and texting and putting them in the CRM and getting that whole entire process down. I got that down pat. And then after that is when I was ready to really hone in and learn sales. But if I was trying to do all of them at the same time, if I was trying to learn sales and build the lead generation team and systems, processes, and all this stuff, I wouldn't have gotten as good at sales as I am right now, because my mind would have been scatterbrained at that point, and my mind would not have been directed to the things that I need to be directed on in order to build the skill. But
no, that makes a ton of sense, dude. And it's crazy. Like everyone's kind of like, and I know I'm one of these people, right? I overanalyze everything, and everyone's like, just start. And I'm like, listen, I'm ready to start. I'm ready to kind of like I'm kind of in setup mode right now. But hopefully I'm going to be doing this stuff in the next few weeks to be like doing the cold calling, right? Like doing the direct mail, all that stuff. But it's also like, I don't want to fire a cannon out of a canoe and have no stability, or like kind of have no idea like the direction I'm trying to go. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, if you're looking to do direct to seller wholesaling, which means there's so many different strategies you could do direct to seller, but really what it is reaching out directly to a seller in some form of fashion, whether it's a sign, whether it's a mailer, whether it's a call, whether it's a text, whether it's an ad, whatever it is, that is all direct to seller marketing. Once you figure out the strategy of direct to seller marketing that you want to tackle, that's when you go figure out what systems and processes you need in order to do that direct to seller marketing. So then you build your marketing system and you start generating leads, which is actually the easiest part of this business, is generating leads. The hard part is converting those leads. So once you have the marketing system down pat and you have leads that are pumping in your system, then you're able to practice on those leads. You're able to try to convert those leads. You can toss those leads to other investors that might be better at sales, or more well-versed in sales because they've had more experience to help you convert those. Like that's when you start gaining the traction. But at the end of the day, no business exists, whether you're a donut shop, whether you're a landscaper, whether you're a painter, you don't exist if you do not have leads. So the biggest thing is getting leads in the beginning. So just figure out the lead thing. How do I get leads? How do I get as many leads as possible? And how do I build a system that gets me leads every single week? And then once you have that, you'll build the skill to convert those leads.
Boom. If you want to hop on a call with me, shoot me a DM on Instagram at the Mike Gomes, and I'd love to give you some advice, or like kind of like this call that we just went over. And then obviously the best way to reach me is the free private Facebook group. So hit that link in the description, get in that free private Facebook group, and then also like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification. I'm gonna see y'all in the next video. Peace.